As we are here now for round 16, the last round of the championship. Ayrton Senna lines up on pole with Emerson Fittipaldi alongside, and the champion Prost in third. We wait now for the green light, and the light is out. It does seem that Senna has a pretty decent start. Emerson Fittipaldi will have to defend from Prost here. Prost goes around the outside of Fittipaldi, I believe, but Fittipaldi managing to hold on. No, he does not. So Prost instantly up into second place. And here comes Theo Fabi now trying to challenge his teammate. But no luck for him. And let's see, further down the field we have Nakajima in fifth. Then comes Mario Andretti, one of the Minardis. Then comes Elige of Shino, a second Minardi of Ross Cheever. Then Roberto Moreno in the first arrows. Then Nelson Piquet and a Benetton. Danny Sullivan just outside the top 10 in the McLaren, what is supposed to be a very competitive car. So René Arnoux now under attack from Stefan Johansson. Johansson will move up into that position. Let's see. Further towards the front, Moreno as well, trying to challenge Hoshino. And he does so, sneaks up on the inside. Just after the Brabham straight into the Ketfell hairpin. And then we go into turn 12, 13, 14, 15. Quick little sequence of left-hand corners that then leads to the right-hander and the hairpin here, Mistral hairpin. Then one lap is completed of the Adelaide street circuit. When we look further down here, two of the Ferraris actually closing up onto Alain Prost, it seems. And Ayrton Senna slowly but surely filling a gap here, and already issues on lap 2. Mika Hakkinen reporting some sort of issue with his with one of his wheels. He's going very slowly as the pack tries to get through safely. They all do manage to somewhat avoid him, but yeah, it's obviously narrower track than most, so Hakkinen is trying to nurse that car back to the pits, it seems. We'll see if he actually manages to do so, but let's move back towards the front now as we again see the Ferraris hunting down. Oh, a bit of an incident with one of the Minardis and Satoru Nakajima in the Lotus, I think. So two of the Minardis actually moving up into 5th and 6th. Minardi duo really close together here on track. And of course we've seen last round as well the rookie Ross Cheever being able to drive for Minardi. This time around again, and now one of the Benettons with an issue. Oh, and he's gonna pull off. Nelson Piquet it is. Nelson Piquet has to pull off with a puncture in turn 1. And so is Mika Hakkinen. He's also out of the race, so didn't manage to get it back to the pits. Now the last driver on the grid is Eddie Cheever in 20th for March. Very noticeable that March actually didn't seem to bring any updates for these last 2 rounds. And that might explain a bit of the pace deficit, as Nigel Mansell is desperately trying to hold on from Michael Andretti. But yeah, very noticeable. We saw some favorable changes on some of the other cars with some upgrades, but for some reason March electing not to bring any upgrades for these last 2 rounds. Maybe looking ahead towards the next year and trying to improve for that one. We have both of the Zach Speeds as well close together, 14th and 15th. Zach Speed really a team that overperformed this year. I think if we look at the standings, they're in 9th place in the standings with 8 points, ahead of March and Williams, which, with all due respect, both Marsh and Williams should be teams that are ahead of a team like Zach Speed. But clearly Edison, the manager, making the most of the assets he got given in both driver and car. And they've managed to pull out some unreal results out of that package. Meanwhile, we have Al Unser Jr. trying to get onto the back of René Arnoux as they head onto the Brabham Straight. I think it is. Oh, here they'll head on to the Brabham Straight. Fastest part of the track. And then take another look there. Danny Sullivan in 10th, so made up one position with Nelson Piquet dropping out. Roberto Moreno still trying to hunt down Kazuyoshi Hoshino, and we do have some battling going on. In the meanwhile, Emerson Fittipaldi already getting past Alain Prost. So McLaren not exactly been suffering. You know, they had a very dominant season, and it seems they're taking the slack off a little bit now, and do of course know by now that McLaren, well, they have an all-round dominant car, but it really shines on the higher speed circuits, where that design really comes to fruition, it seems like. And then vice versa, I think Ferrari has shown that on the short circuits they're really competitive, so I think that's what we're seeing here as Teo Fabi seems to come under attack by Ross Cheever, who has passed his teammate Mario Andretti. And Cheever now, with all that horsepower in the Minardi, heading down the straight into the Dequetteville hairpin. And he does get ahead. Fabi does show his nose, but in the end doesn't have enough on the brakes to challenge Ross Cheever. So Ross Cheever, one to watch again as he's slowly building up pace throughout this Grand Prix. So the hope now for Teo Fabi is he can strategically use Ross Cheever here to maybe get some more positions out of it. Cheever on those straightaways, you can really see where the Minardi is strong. The Ferrari gains a bit through the corners, but on that straightaway, anywhere there's an acceleration zone and a bit of a longer straight, that Minardi really spreads its wings. He's now in 4th. He's going to be hunting down Alain Prost. So yeah, McLaren just closing out the season. Of course, they have nothing to battle for really anymore. It would take an insane result for Ferrari to get the constructors, as McLaren are now 11 points ahead. It would require probably a DNF here from Prost, and then a win from Fittipaldi with I think at least a 4th place for Teo Fabi. We'll see, of course, anything can happen. All still to play for, and we've seen before that it's very possible. As I say that, one of the McLarens is dropping out, Danny Sullivan. Suspension issue there as Stefan Johansson gets held up, and he's gonna pull off to the side of the track. So as we know, a very abrasive track in Adelaide, and seems to be taking a toll now on that McLaren car of Danny Sullivan. Not really clear if Sullivan is getting the same package as Prost, because there has been such a big pace deficit. But we also got to remember that Sullivan comes from a completely different background in IndyCar, so although they're open wheelers, they're obviously, you know, focused more on ovals as well. And the road racing is a part of it, but obviously not as big as Formula 1. So yeah, we have seen that Sullivan has been been struggling somewhat to really live up to McLaren's standards, so he's well, he's DNF'd in the last 6 races, 7 with this one, so yeah, really not put that package to good use. He was off to a good start with the 2nd place once he got into the car, once he got transferred for, I think it was David Brabham that got swapped out mid-season. But yeah, Danny Sullivan just not really using that package to the fullest, and I'm sure Pedro Diaz, the team manager, has noticed that as well. Will be very unfortunate to say, but I doubt we will see Danny Sullivan in the McLaren drive for next year. Ross Cheever now, as we were saying, he is hunting down Alain Prost, and he's getting very close now. As they head on to the Brabham Straight, going through turn 10 here, a slight right bend. Full throttle. And as we know, that Minardi will have a straight line advantage on the McLaren. And further back, we can see now Nakajima trying to fight back. So, had a little bump by one of the Minardis. I don't know which one it was, but now trying to fight his way back, and he is getting onto that gearbox of Mario Andretti. Meanwhile, let's take a look down. Roberto Moreno, one of the drivers that I personally feel could have done a lot better, but has been let down by the team package a little bit. It seems like he is still in 10th place in the driver's standings, but yeah, has had a lot of mechanical issues in that Arrows car, and obviously we know Arrows isn't exactly a front runner. But you know, with some better reliability and a bit of a better package, it could have been a whole different story for Moreno here, as he really got off to a good start, and especially in the first half of the season. He's really shown well, glimpses of quite a top driver, and he was pretty much always in the points with the base Arrows car at the start, but seems like the development and the reliability hasn't really gone his way. But yeah, we'll see now how he gets along here with his teammates 7 or so seconds behind. Then comes René Arnoux, desperately trying to hold on from Al Unser Jr. behind. So Al Unser Jr. quietly making up some positions. We'll also take a look at the last lap times here. So yeah, everything very close here in the midfield, anywhere from high 25s to low 26s. With a bit of a decent run, Al Unser Jr. might sneak away 11th position from René Arnoux in front in the Benetton. And let's see, the fastest lap so far, yeah, Ayrton Senna is just streaking away with it. And as we can see now, 10 laps in, Ayrton Senna nearly has an 8-second gap to Emerson Fittipaldi, so quite extraordinary. Ayrton Senna putting on another masterclass, but like the question always is with Lotus, can they actually get to the end of the race? Because Senna has put up exquisite performances, and even Satoru Nakajima hasn't exactly been a bad second driver for Lotus, so Nakajima definitely picking up the slack whenever Senna dropped out of one of the races. Even though Senna now has 34 points, and Nakajima has 12, so respectively 4th and 11th in the standings, but you know, it is I think that's a bit of a skewed view, because Nakajima has actually suffered his fair share of reliability issues when he was inside the points, so but he's been yeah, very decent, just consistently picking up points throughout the season whenever he could, and then obviously a bit unfortunate with the reliability. But yeah, Senna just breaking away, and well, very noticeable here. Emerson Fittipaldi gapping Prost now, nearly 4 seconds in between them. As you can see, Prost there coming out of the background with Ross Cheever hunting him down. Fittipaldi trying to really gun for that Constructors' Championship, and you know, it is still very possible, but I think, yeah, will require a bit of luck. It should, if Senna retires here at some point, Fittipaldi can get in first, and then Fabi can maybe get up into 4th position with Prost not scoring any points, then that would be possible, but yeah, it's gonna be tough because I think at this point McLaren, oh no, they're actually drawn on wins, so if you look at podiums, actually Ferrari might have slightly bit more, so even if they draw up, Ferrari might actually be able to get the Constructors' Championship. But yeah, it will require a lot of puzzle pieces to fall into place, and we'll have to see if that comes good for Ferrari, and if not, they'll pretty much need a 1-2 to even dream of the Constructors right now. But Ross Cheever really pushing here, and we can definitely say that Ross Cheever is one of the up-and-coming stars in F1, as Minardi has really invested in him. We heard a couple of stories actually of Ross Cheever regularly attending well, some sort of training camps for drivers. You know, those are a thing, and they really are about like training the driver's fitness and showing them all kinds of tricks and things they can use during the race, during quali. And yeah, we know Minardi has heavily invested in Cheever being able to attend those schools, and well, I think he's a young talent that is, given the right package, might actually put a good threat on for a championship, even perhaps. You know, Minardi has had its issues. They've been really fast, but reliability has an issue throughout the season. But biggest thing here for Minardi is that they're trying to secure that 3rd place in the Constructors. So they need to finish ahead of Ligier here today, which at this point, obviously one Ligier is out and the other one is outside of the points. So let's see here now. Ross Cheever going up the inside, down the Brown Straight into the Dequetteville hairpin, and he gets ahead, gets it done even before the hairpin. And oh, and actually a slight tap there from Prost. An uncharacteristic mistake from Prost. But seems like he just got in the wake of that Minardi and well, misjudged the braking performance he would get. Luckily, no damage it seems for Ross Cheever or Prost, but that move will have to be delayed for a little bit, and we can actually see Theo Fabi now slowly closing up, so he's not too far off trying to get past Prost. Now Ross Cheever, I believe we'll see him trying to make the same move here on the Brabham Straight as they go into turn 9 now, down Rundle Road, and then into that light right bend. Ross Cheever needs a good run here onto the straightaway, has some slipstream of Prost in front. Is he close enough? Let's see. I think he is. Where is the move gonna go? He's gonna go up the inside. Prost trying to defend, but it is futile as Cheever now squeezes him out, and, well, quite understandable, I guess. Cheever making that move the first time very cleanly. Prost slightly nudging it back. Obviously not intentional, but Cheever will be trying to make up time, and, well, hunting down Emerson Fittipaldi will be his next goal, because he is looking very fast. And then Theo Fabi will be looking at the back of Alain Prost here in a couple of laps, perhaps. Mario Andretti still in 6th. The, well, definitely the veteran of this grid. 50, well, 50 years old, but he's getting up there, you know, mid-40s. And, I think, is it next year that he's turning 49, 48? I'm not quite sure, but, yeah. Definitely is still showing the young bucks how it's done, as he's running inside the points again. But, also have been, of course, talks about his retirement, or at least retiring from F1. I think he got a really good deal with Minardi to get another drive, and I think he just wanted to really get one last competitive drive, which he has gotten. So he has, you know, he has gotten his 2 wins on this season, which obviously he would have enjoyed very much. As Bernd Schneider now reporting electrical issues, so something amiss in that Zach speed. Now trying to get back to the pits, I believe. And I'm not sure if he's inside the pit window. We do expect 2 pit stops here today. Is Nigel Mansell in the marches trying to get by it? Yeah, we do expect 2 pit stops here today for most of those runners. Nigel Mansell, yeah, still doing fairly okay with that March package that hasn't been upgraded. Michael Andretti in 13th with his teammate Al Unser Jr. right behind. Or right in front, I should say. And René Arnoux 10th now, Stefan Johansson, Roberto Marino still running in 9th, kind of in no man's land between his teammate and Hoshino. He's in front, and Hoshino actually not that far off of Nakajima. As Nakajima now getting very close to Mario Andretti. Of course, it will be interesting to see again how fuel strategies and tire strategies play out, because some of these drivers will be running a lot less fuel than the others, or might be conserving a bit more than the others, so we'll have to see how it plays out whenever the pit stops come in. Now Theo Fabi still working his way up to Prost. Let's actually take a look at the last lap times. So yeah, actually 3/10 faster than Prost. Yeah, Fabi really putting the pace on. He will be within striking distance of Prost in one of the next 2 laps, I'm guessing. So Mario Andretti still holding off Nakajima for now. Comes Hoshino, then Moreno in no man's land together with his teammate Johansson. Then comes René Arnoux with Alain Jr. honestly all on the back of him. Let's see here. Is Alain Jr. gonna try something? Oh yeah, he dives up the inside. Very late move there. And he does get it done, so good move there by Alain Jr. in the Tyrrell. And has been talks about Tyrrell for next year. Obviously, they've done fairly well. But it looks like they might be stepping away from their camel sponsorships for next year's, and there has been some rumors going around of possible sponsors, but we don't know anything concrete yet. But we do expect the car to look very different livery-wise for next season. And yeah, we will see as Al Unser Jr. now trying to separate himself from that Benetton. But Rennie Arnoux doing a good job holding on so far. Seems like that Tyrrell has a bit more straight line performance though. And there was an electrical issue as well for Stefan Johansson. Forgot to report on that, but yeah, he did go into the pits to resolve that issue. He's now down in 13th. A bit of a shame there, and we do have Williams, Jeff Lees, Jeff Brabham actually quite close together in 16th and 17th. Running at the back there, it's, well, another rumor that has come in is that, well, Williams has been struggling financially. They had their championship winning season, but as you all know, they've dropped entirely to the back of the grid, and obviously after 87 they kept their design philosophies very similar to the 87 car for this year, and it's kind of well, it kind of does what it says on the tin, and they've kind of took a pause in time, and it's really shown compared to some of the other cars. Obviously, they're running the Judd engine, which hasn't helped them much either. By far the lowest horsepower engine on the grid. And they've really struggled with that, of course. If they did have another engine package, they might have been more competitive, but there is talks about some of the main sponsors pulling out for Williams, and yeah, it seems like it's not gonna end well in that part of the paddock. But yeah, more on that after the season, I guess. As I'll step away here for a second, I'll leave you on board with our current race leader, Ayrton Senna. I'll be right back. And as we come back now, we see, oh, big lock up there from Eddie Cheever. The march in last place as Ayrton Senna comes up to lap him for the first time. March really struggling now towards the end of the season as Senna now pulling through. You hear Emerson Fittipaldi slowly dropping into the clutches of Ross Cheever. Oh, and issues. One of the Tyrrells, Michael Andretti, with a transmission issue there. And he will pull off. So yeah, unlucky for the Tyrrells, another retirement. Although overall, they've had a pretty decent finishing record. They've been a bit unlucky with damage and those kind of things, getting stuck in the gravel in some races, but they don't have too bad of a finishing record compared to some of the teams. As Ross Cheever there comes through, and yeah, Ross Cheever really making time now on Emerson Fittipaldi, as he was nearly, well, he was more than, just about a half a second faster last lap. So yeah, Cheever really putting on the pressure here. And if he does overtake Fittipaldi, that's one step further away for from that Constructors' Championship for Ferrari, as they have a lot of ground to make up. Obviously, it would technically still be possible for Minardi to overtake Ferrari, but it would require a 1-2 for Minardi and no points scored for Ferrari, so an unlikely scenario. But yeah, I think the main goal here for Minardi is just to stay ahead of Ligier, which they have a 3-point gap to now. Ross Cheever getting into striking distance now, and we might see another move here down the Brabham Straight where that Minardi can use its advantage. As we head down into turn 10 and then down the straightaway, we know the Ferrari definitely isn't a slouch on the straightaway, so we'll see here if Cheever can pull something off. It actually seems like he's a bit too far away. Fabi still edging ever so slightly closer to Alain Prost. We'll see if he can make a move, the Italian, on the Frenchman. Again, getting ever closer now. Still about a second though. Fabi managed to get onto the back of Prost, but now is struggling to get within that striking distance. About a car length or 5 behind. So we'll keep an eye on whether he can do something. And actually, Ross Cheever now getting past Emerson Fittipaldi, and we'll keep an eye on this fight. But I do think Cheever has the pace advantage here, as he's made that very clear. Had a bit of a qualifying deficit, but yeah, I can see now once he gets into that clear air with no one ahead of him, he can really start pushing. And it isn't, I actually think it isn't unlikely that we might see Cheever challenge for a win here today, even though he's 13.5 seconds behind now. I'm quietly confident that he actually has pace to challenge Senna. But we will see. Alain Prost now still about a second ahead of Theo Fabi. Then comes Mario Andretti in the last point-paying position with Nakajima behind him. Then comes Hoshino, who's actually seemingly getting closer to Nakajima. Then it is Roberto Moreno on his own, 11 seconds detached from Hoshino, and, well, 20 seconds removed from Alonso Jr., so not gonna be getting in any issues because of another driver. Meanwhile, Alonso Jr. doing really well here. He's managing that Tyrrell and is slowly but surely pulling away from Rene Arnoux, it seems. Well, inside the top 10, so very decent for the Tyrrell. Comes Stefan Johansson now. And 12th after his electrical issue, but we do see an issue there for Cherry Bootson as the Zach Speed caught fire there. Black smoke coming out of the back. And he goes down the straightaway. I'm not sure if he's aware yet, but he should be if he looks in his mirrors. And yeah, there goes the engine. He's instantly pulling off there, trying to get to safety. Does a good job pulling the car off, and now about getting out of that car and taken to safety. Let's hope he does get out. Theo Fabi still trying to get to Prost, but their pace is just a bit too similar at this point in the race. Fittipaldi dropping back from Ross Cheever. And Ross Cheever actually making massive time up to Senna. Last lap, 7/10. Actually, no, 9/10, nearly a second faster Ross Cheever than Ayrton Senna last lap, so not sure if that will be fuel load or if Ross Cheever is just putting on a show here today. Well, at this rate, he'll definitely be catching up to Senna. Obviously, you have to see how the pit stop strategies play out as well. It could be that Cheever is running a lower fuel load than Senna, for instance. Might see him come in a couple of laps earlier. Then we have Eddie Cheever just struggling at the back a bit as Alain Prost and Theo Fabi behind him come up to lap de marche. We'll follow our driver's champion around for a little bit here. As let's see now if Prost can maneuver his way around the march. He's gonna dive up the inside. Not an ideal place to be doing that overtake, but has gotten it done quite cleanly. And let's see if Teo Fabi can do the same, because now we're coming up to a bit of a tricky... Ooh, as Fabi, the curb there got a bit unsettled, I think, by the March Eddie Cheever there locking up in front of him. And just took a little bit too much curb, which made the Ferrari a bit of a hop. Now Teo Fabi onto the back of that March, but he's lost quite a bit of time now to Alain Prost in front of him. And oh, Alain Prost with an engine issue. Alain Prost with an engine issue, and he's gonna be out of the race. Surely, it seems like a water-related leak. Something that is wrong. White smoke out of the McLaren. That's gonna be Prost out of the race. Surely. Let's see here, can he actually? No, he's not going into the pit. So unaware of the issue, or maybe too dangerous to pull into the pits because they know won't be able to. But that's Fittipaldi now up into third place. And well, this makes things interesting for the Constructors' Championship. As it stands now, obviously, with the current positions, Ferrari are still... they're still 4 points short for the Constructors' Championship, but all they need is a little bit of luck here, and that could very quickly change to challenging for the Constructors' Championship. Realistically, they're gonna need to get a... they're gonna have to have a 1-2 here. Or, well, it's gonna be have to be a first position and maybe a fourth at the least. That would put them level, I believe. Oh, actually, no, they need fourth place and... or no, fifth place and first place. That would be it. Need a total of 11 points to draw even with McLaren, and then we'll have to recount the podiums because I think they're even on wins. So we'll have to recount the podiums to see actually who has gotten the most, but it might be very close then. But again, Ferrari will need some more luck throughout this race, but one of the few retirements here for Alain Prost. Only the fourth retirement of the entire season, so only retired 25% of the races compared to most teams at about a 50% retirement rate. Alain Prost has really managed his car, but unfortunately at the end of the season here, the champion not being able to get that McLaren to the line, and neither does his teammate Sullivan. Here comes Mario Andretti now. He's on to the back of that March of Eddie Cheever. And he does come through. Let's actually follow Ayrton Senna for a bit longer, or... yes, we'll see here. The pit stop window is gonna come in at some point here. And yeah, I'll have to step away for a moment again, but I'll be right back. Alright, sorry for that break in the commentary. Some personal matters to attend to, but as we see now, Mario Andretti, the second Minardi, dropping out with a transmission failure. As Emerson Fittipaldi still hasn't come into pit, Ross Cheever has. Now down in the third position. And obviously, let me just check some of the lap times. So Ross Cheever, yeah, pumping in some good lap times now. 20:37, so half a second faster than Senna. And then Mario Andretti will drop to the back, and he's now... Stefan Johansson is inside the points, and I also see that Roberto Moreno, Pacino, and Arnoux have dropped in the meanwhile as well. So we will have 13 cars remaining in the race. We're about halfway there. Over halfway, actually. And Senna will come in for his pit stop. Emerson Fittipaldi electing to stay out for quite a bit of time. Now Nigel Mansell also coming into pit, and so will Jeff Brabham.
Pit at the end of this lap.
Oh, and then Jeff Brabham with a water leak. Jeff Brabham with a water leak. A lot of issues again when it comes to reliability, and that is Jeff Brabham now out of the race as well. Ayrton Senna now just came out of the pit and comes out ahead just before Emerson Fittipaldi. Nigel Mansell now into the pits. And actually again one of the Zach speeds just outside the points. Ross Cheever still putting a good effort in, has dropped back a bit now though. 18 seconds behind the leader, it seems. Emerson Fittipaldi also, well, obviously only 1 second behind, but still has to make a pit stop. We'll see how that goes. Theo Fabi in the meanwhile in 4th place, already making his pit stop. Nakajima in the meanwhile in 5th. And Johansson in 6th. So one of the arrows getting inside the points now. You now see Al Unser Jr., sorry, onto the back of Bernd Schneider. They both made their pit stop, so this is for a net position. Oh, an issue now for Ross Cheever. Ross Cheever with a suspension failure. Complete suspension failure for Ross Cheever. Front left there. And he pulls off to the side of the track. And that is really a shame for Ross Cheever, but obviously again good for Ferrari. That's one less hurdle to get by as Theo Fabi now charges on and will come through past Cheever there. So 2nd and 3rd for... And then 3rd for Ferrari, which now means they are only 1 point behind on the live standings. They are 1 point behind McLaren for the constructors, so realistically, they need something to happen to Senna. Else, the hope of a championship, Constructors' Championship, is over for Ferrari. Anything can happen. Now, Jeff Lees there coming through, and it will mean that Stefan Johansson will move up a spot, and Brent Schneider will be in the points for Zach Speed. So he's had a really good run so far. Here comes Cheever in for his pit, and well, I was saying that the March cars didn't have any upgrades, but you know, even with that, they're still in 10th and 11th, just purely because of the attrition, and they'll move into 9th and 10th. But Jeff Lees now for Williams getting his pit call, and Senna still obviously, let's see, here he is. Senna still solidly in the lead, of course. He's good few seconds up the road, about 25 now to Fittipaldi. And again, showing his class here today is Ayrton Senna. Qualified, I think, 4/10 away from Emerson Fittipaldi, and has been charging hard since the end of the start of the race, and it has really shown that that Lotus package is just insanely fast in the hands of Senna. But obviously, the big question is always, can they make it till the end? But should Senna be able to manage that car until the end, he'll get his second victory of the season, and yeah, he might be able to get past Kazuyoshi Hoshino for third in the Drivers' Championship. Oh yeah, we're gonna keep looking at that, but Lotus also needs another, let's see, 8 points to get past Ligier. So with a 9-point victory on the cards here for Lotus, they might move up into 4th in the constructors, and past Ligier, because both the Ligiers are out now, of course. So yeah, Senna looking good to bump up the Lotus into the next spot in the constructors, and the moment is one measly point for Ferrari that needs to be obtained to get past in the Constructors' Championship. Toru Nakajima in 4th now for Lotus, and with that being said, if he gets 4th, then they'll gain another an extra 4 points, I believe, or an extra 3 points, so they'd be on 12 extra points. Which would actually put them 1 point behind Minardi. So if in some way or form Nakajima can make up a spot, their Lotus is still in contention for 3rd in the constructors. So yeah, it would be quite a story after Kovalotus took over as the manager, and if he'd managed to drag the Lotus all the way back up to that 3rd place in the constructors, it would be quite a feat. Right now, they're looking at a 4th place in the constructors if they keep going like this. we'll take a bit of a look back now. Brent Schneider still has Nigel Mansell on the back of him, so there's that. So still hunting. Let's go on board here for a second. See here as they get onto the straightaway, does that march? Got anything on the Zach speed? Zach speed's pretty speedy on in a straight line. And so putting a good fight in the I assume the slower parts of the track. Drivers electing to stay in 5th gear at the end of the straight. They don't quite have a long enough straight to shift up into that 6th gear. And Fittipaldi now getting past Stefan Johansson, who's in 5th. And Theo Fabi still solidly in 3rd. Nakajima there, small luck up for the Japanese driver, as Senna just gotten past one of the well, it would have been Jeff Lees of Williams. Fittipaldi still just managing in 2nd place. See, at this point, Ferrari will just be trying to get both of their cars across the finish line and secretly hoping for a retirement for Senna, which would give them the Constructors' Championship. Have a bit less than 30 laps to go now, 27 laps to go actually, as we're on board with Senna, heading under the Foster's Bridge, and he's heading into the Kettville hairpin. We'll now head into the complex of left-handers, turn 12, 13, 14, under the Marlborough Bridge, and a slight right-hander into the Mistral hairpin down the straightaway, and then funnily enough we will go to through the Senna chicane after the straightaway. Bobby's still managing in 3rd now. Lost a little bit of time to Nakajima behind, but yeah, hard ask I think for Nakajima to still make up all that lost time. Let's see, 25-0 last lap to Fabi, 24-6. So still quite a bit of margin for Fabi there throughout the race. And actually, we have the Tyrrell now of Al Unser Jr. in a point-paying position. So yeah, Tyrrell will be able to pick up a single point if they keep going like this, which would be another solid showing. Tyrrell has been doing all right. Obviously, we have Theo Fabi coming up behind the Tyrrell, and yeah, Fabi has also a lot of misfortune with reliability this season, but has been a good second driver for the Ferrari squad. Definitely a more balanced point scoring duo than, for instance, McLaren, where McLaren has had 72 out of their 82 points were scored by Prost. So you can see a bit of a mismatch there. Meanwhile, Aldi has scored 52 out of the 71 points for Ferrari. So yeah, a bit of a better balanced squad, I guess. Obviously, there's still a deficit between the two, but reliability really played an issue for Ferrari. And one can only wonder if spent a little bit more time on that, if it would have mattered. But again, it is all still on the cards. This last race decides it, and if Senna holds on here today, then it is all over for Ferrari. But should he drop out, then Ferrari is very much still in the running for that Constructors' Championship. Alonso Jr. pushing hard once again. He's not anywhere close to Stefan Johansson, so he won't be challenging him anytime soon. Toru Nakajima in 4th, actually quite a bit behind Fabi. Then comes Bernd Schneider just outside of the points, which is unfortunate for Zach Speed. Then comes Nigel Mansell, and then Jeff Lees, and then Eddie Cheever. So curiously, both of them are still running, so really not done a bad job today. Just lacking a bit of pace, of course. They're 2 laps down now. But still, obviously, you have to get to the line to even score any points. Yeah. Now comes Emerson Fittipaldi. Will be trying to overtake the March car here. Toru Nakajima also heading down into the bend to the Ketfield Terrace down the Brabham Straits. And once again, Bernd Schneider, a young German, performing really well in that Zach Speed. Well, the few chances that they've gotten, Zach Speed has really capitalized on them. Even though they only have 8 points, that is really close to the maximum they could have gotten. So, yeah. And Bernd Schneider, of course, has been really unlucky with the amount of DNFs. I think Boutsen has DNF also the last 5 races, but Bernd Schneider really, well, taking the cake from the whole entire grid, I think, with fired 9 out of 11 times. So yeah, that's quite a retirement feat for Schneider. Obviously, not all of them were liability. Probably gotten unlucky with incidents and such. But yeah, one of the more unlucky drivers on the grid, even though he has shown, decent quality. Not a top driver, but definitely can mix and match. And right now he is ahead of Nigel Mansell. By no means is considered a slouch, so 22 laps to go. And Alonso Jr. still managing there with Nakajima now coming up to him, I believe. And now Jeff Lees, with an electrical issue, has made it back to the pits with 20 laps to go. So, unfortunate for the Williams, but obviously not like fighting too much. Obviously, he has Eddie Cheever now passing him, but I'm sure with some new fresh tires for those last 20 laps, Jeff Lees will be steaming back towards him. Overtaking him in no time. Another one of those drivers, Jeff Lees, actually shown to be pretty good in what is a lackluster package. So, only imagine he maybe gets a chance at another team at some point. Maybe a bit more of a competitive team, but we will see. Bobby still managing in third, Satoru Nakajima in fourth, Alonso Jr. in sixth, and Stefan Janssen fifth. Nigel Mansell right here with Eddie Cheever behind him. Then Jeff Lees, of course. See now how Lees does in these remaining laps. On those fresh tires, I think he should be able to get back up to Eddie Cheever. But we'll keep an eye on the lap times he's posting once he gets a couple in. Johansson now getting past Lees as well. Now, Stefan Johansson still in fifth. Getting past Eddie Cheever. Here comes Jeff Lees, though. Lees getting closer and closer, I think. Let's see the lap time he has put in. I think he's got quite a bit closer. Let's see here. It is a 125, so almost 1.5 seconds faster than Eddie Cheever. And close to, well, 1.7 faster than Nigel Mansell. But Nigel Mansell is quite a bit further up the road. He's already halfway through the lap. And actually, Eddie Cheever, now with a puncture, he's pulling over as Jeff Lees comes through. So unfortunately there for March, as Cheever does retire from the race. And there is the Leighton house being craned away by the invisible crane. And they move it all the way across the track for some reason, because that makes sense. Into the woods it goes, where it belongs. Whoa, whoa. No, it comes it comes back. March has a has a mind of its own. There it goes, and it was off. Never to be seen again. Has only 9 runners remaining here. And Jeff Lees being the last of them. And now Satoru Nakajima, electrical issue. He was a bit too late with picking that up to get inside the pits. So, Dino here. If he can actually, we'll follow him around and see if he can make it to the pits, because this would be a crucial issue potentially for Lotus if they do want to challenge for that 3rd position in the constructors. 16 laps to go now. You know, Alonso Jr. coming through with the red and white helmet. Kojima moving very slow, so probably some intermittent issues. Cutting out some power, or not quite sure what could be the issue here, but obviously very bumpy track here, and it would be easy to dislodge some wires. Everything's shaking around, a lot of vibrations, so Kojima just trying to make it back to the pits now. It does seem like he is just about gonna manage. It doesn't seem to be that terminal. Oh yeah, it does. So here comes his teammate now, Ayrton Senna, but unfortunately Nakajima dropping out of the race here. Yeah, like we said before, Lotus fast package, but terribly unreliable, so even out of the race. That means 8 remaining drivers, and it means Johansson will be promoted up into 5th, Al Unser into Stefan Johansson into 4th, Al Unser Jr. into 5th, and then Bernd Schneider for Zach Speed will be inside the points again. Or actually, for the first time for Zach Speed's career, the other points were picked up by Patrick de Wolf and Thierry Boutsen. Well, it would be the German rookie's first points, and we've seen him in the run in the points a couple of times, but reliability wasn't on his side, or other issues did arise. So Senna now still going strong. Is solidly in P1. All he has to do now for those remaining 15 laps is manage the car until the end. That will see him through. Same for Ferrari and Ferrari Arrows. Then we have a Tyrrell and Zach Speed. Obviously, Ferrari still hoping for something to happen to to Senna, so they could possibly challenge McLaren for that constructor's title. So far, no luck. Good performance here by Ferrari, though. They picking up 10 extra points, which put them only 1 point behind. And in a close fight at certain points, not for the Drivers' Championship. Prost has locked that one out pretty cleanly, with only 4 DNFs in the season, and Baldi here has also been unlucky a couple times with reliability issues, but yeah, still very tense until the end here, as Ferrari is just hoping for that Senna retirement. Stefan Johansson, so that will be a nice couple of points there for Arrows. It won't change their position in the standings, but another 3 points to their name. Well, now Jeff Lees managing that Williams until the end, and well, a bit of a once we we can get starting about, or can start talking about the next season. Obviously in 89 there is going to be the big change in the points regulations, so the top 8 will be rewarded instead of the top 6 from now on, and well, it would give a lot of these lower placed teams a bit more scrapping to do, because obviously that 7th and 8th position that Nigel Mansell and Jeff Lees are in now would be worth respectively 2 and 1 point. So yeah, we could see a lot more of the lower end teams actually scoring some points and making a difference between each other, because obviously from a field of 22 for 6 cars only to score points does skew the points values quite a bit. You can see a big deficit between the front runners and the back runners, and the top 8 point scoring position should a bit more of a difference between some of the midfield runners, and maybe actually make it a bit closer as more positions are already. Obviously now there was races that also had a big attrition rate, but there was for instance a 7th and 8th place, and they didn't get any points, so that's really a shame. But now those drivers will be rewarded as well. Fabi still going strong, and let's actually keep an eye on Nigel Mansell. See how far he is ahead of Jeff Lees. Still quite a bit of time between them. Now Jeff Lees is doing lap time wise, so 25 to last lap. No, he's doing a 25.4 compared to about half a second between him and Nigel Mansell when it comes to lap times. I'm not sure that will be enough for Jeff Lees to catch up to 7th place. We will keep an eye, and Theo Fabi nearly a minute behind Ayrton Senna now. So he's been managing the race, probably a bit lucky with the attrition of the other cars, but yeah, almost a full minute behind Ayrton Senna. Or is actually a full minute behind Ayrton Senna. As here is Alonso Jr. about to be lapped by the very fast Brazilian here today. Moves over, no issue, and Senna goes through as he is about to start last 10 laps of the race. And Senna will come through the Mistral hairpin and get those last 10 laps going. So he's made it this far and heading towards a second victory of this season. Only wonder what could have been if Senna was a bit more lucky. And obviously, if the package was a bit more competitive for Lotus, then yeah. Could have been a whole different season for Senna. Many were tipping that his season, the 1988 season with Lotus, could have been the championship winning car and driver combination, but fortunately that hasn't come to fruition for Senna this year, and Prost will pick up his third. Prost obviously looking very dominant this season, 20 points ahead of the nearest competitor. Obviously Fittipaldi will close in that gap a bit with a second place here. Another 6 points for Theo Fabi will mean that he will move from 8th place into 6th place in the Drivers' Championship. So yeah, it'll be create a 2nd place and a 6th place for Ferrari, which actually very respectable. Again, more balanced squad in that respect compared to most of them. I think one of the most balanced ones is probably gonna be Minardi or Lotus. They have two drivers always performing fairly similar to each other. Obviously, the standout one being Ross Cheever, who's only had 3 races, and he's had 6 races in total. This being his 7th, so he's only done bit less than half of the races and has scored 16 points, which puts him in 7th at the moment. So yeah, he's done really well. Being lapped by the Ferrari of Emerson Fittipaldi, and sure, Nigel Mansell would have liked to have seen another season, and really fighting for a good drive, and unfortunately hasn't really found a competitive car with March, but yeah. We will see now, as there has been rumors about March being taken over by some other organization. Leighton House. Question being if Leighton House actually want to sell to some other team, as it'll look to be on the rise, but it also hasn't really shown this season. Alright, and we see Theo Fabi still in third position, 1 minute and 7 behind Ayrton Senna now. Just shows difference in class between the drivers, although again, Theo Fabi definitely not done bad at Ferrari. Similar to some of the better duos on the grid when it comparatively to Emerson Fittipaldi, so definitely no shame in it. Going up against one of the more legendary drivers in Fittipaldi is it's no shame to be losing out to him. And now actually on board with him going through the last corner. On the start-finish straight. 8 laps to go for Theo Fabi. Oh, and here we go. Here we go. This could be it. Ayrton Senna with 5 laps to go in engine fire. So was heading towards a victory, but this could mean that Ferrari will become Constructors' Championship here. Or Constructors' Champions. As they're in second and third, and first and second would guarantee the Constructors for them. But we'll see now. Yeah, this is over and done with for Senna. And with a Lotus, it's always just a matter of time, it seems. But he is gonna drop out here, Senna, so he'll be getting out of the car, but that does mean Emerson Fittipaldi now coming down the straightaway in for another victory, and if him and Fabi can hold on for the remainder of this race, then Ferrari becomes the Constructors' World Champions. And that would be quite a sight, seeing a Drivers' Champion from one team and a Constructors' Champion from the other. That's not a common occurrence. Fittipaldi now starting the 78th lap in first place, as Senna will drop down the order. All the cars will be still lapping him, I think. Yes, there's 4 laps or 5 laps remaining. So that means everyone will move up a position. So Alonso Jr. will be up into 4th, and actually Stefan Johansson for Arrows might get a podium here. That would be a nice twist. Yeah, Emerson Fittipaldi now in first. And second for Theo Fabi. Remember that I believe it was Ferrari that has the only... No, actually Ferrari and I believe Ligier have the only 1-2 finishes in this season. I believe was that, yeah, Ligier had it in round 12 where they had a 1-2 with Hoshino and Hakkinen, which obviously was a big surprise that the rookie Hakkinen got his second place there, but nevertheless it was very deserved. And then Ferrari, actually, let me look into it, I think got their 1-2, when was it? think they had a 1-2 in round 3, I believe. So yeah, round 3 was a 1-2. Emerson Fittipaldi in first and Leo Fabi in second. But that being said, the way it is going now, with 3 laps remaining, or 4 I should say, because the 82nd needs to be completed, but it does look like it'll be a 1-2, which means 15 points for Ferrari, which would move them up into first in the constructors. They would have 86 to McLaren's 82 points. Unless something happens here, Ferrari are looking at that Constructors' Championship. And I'm sure Pedro Diaz is trying everything he can to sabotage Ferrari as they're in this position. We will see now. Fabi comes through there, and then obviously very nice from Johansson to be in that at a third position. Johansson heading for a great result, and if I'm not mistaken, that must be his first podium, surely. I think Moreno has picked up a second place somewhere, but yeah, this would be Johansson's first ever podium. Least now in 7th position, and Ayrton Senna dropping down to 8th, so no points here for Lotus today, and again we end up with about 7 cars at the end. Just the point paying positions and 1 extra car. But Alonso for Tyrrell, Alonso Jr. solid in the points, will be in 3 extra points for Tyrrell, which unfortunately will them 1 point behind Benetton in the standings, so a close battle between those two in the constructors, and then Zach Speed pick up another 2. That will put them on 10 points, and obviously March will pick up an extra point to put them give them 7 points. And well, Williams unfortunately just dropping outside of the points. Baldi on the penultimate lap, and actually, oh no, as we are talking about it, Alonso Jr. with a transmission failure right at the death of the race, 1 lap before the end. And that will mean that probably Jeff Lees will be able to score 1 point here for Williams, so they'll be on 2 points, and unfortunately no points for Tyrrell. That is, yeah, very unfortunate for them. And I could actually very much surprise, because I think it would put Zach Speed and Tyrrell on the exact same points. So we would have to take a look at highest finishing positions and count them up. And it might go the way of Zach Speed then, so Zach Speed might leapfrog Tyrrell here if Bernd Schneider manages to finish. Meanwhile though, here comes Emerson Fittipaldi one last time down Rundle Road, and a slight bend into the De Quetteville Terrace, down the Brabham Straight. And he will, taking it easy, heading into the De Quetteville hairpin. Take a tight hairpin to the right, and then the sequence of left corners 12, 13, 14. In the slight right-hander 15. See the white flag being waved there. And he goes around the Mistral hairpin, and Emerson Fittipaldi will pick up the win at Adelaide. And let's take a look here as Teo Fabi is coming down the straightaway. Nothing can go wrong now anymore, surely, for Ferrari. Emerson Fittipaldi, 9 points. At this point, 2 points behind McLaren. But it is pretty much secured, even if Teo Fabi DNFs here. There isn't enough laps for the cars behind to catch up. Teo Fabi now going past the white flag. He will be going into the Mistral hairpin, and down the straightaway. Ferrari becomes your Constructor World Championship of 1988. Very well done by Ferrari. They fought until the bitter end, and it has paid off for them as Ferrari does grab that Constructors Championship. So very surprising here. It came down to the last race for the Constructors, and Ferrari has managed that perfectly, even though it seemed very unlikely. Everything went their way today, and it is, well, rejoice, I think, for Machihila and his team as they pick up that Constructors Championship. And let's go through the full race results here. So Emerson Fittipaldi in first with Teo Fabi in second. Then comes the arrows of Stefan Johansson with a podium. Then comes the Zach speed of Bernd Schneider, picking up 3 points, putting them equal with Tyrrell. And we'll have to count back the highest points, or the highest points paying positions, to see, but I believe it might actually be actually going the way of Zach speed if we take a look at those. So, but we will have to take a look at that. Then comes Nigel Mansell in the March, Jeff Lees in the Williams. So Williams picking up a point at the death of the season. Alonso Jr. unfortunately dropping out right at the end. Then comes Ayrton Senna, who was heading on his way to a victory, but like we know, the Lotus unreliability struck with his teammate right behind. Then comes Eddie Cheever for March with a puncture, then Ross Cheever with a suspension, so both of the Cheevers, 10th and 11th. Then comes the Williams' Jeff Brabham with a water leak. Mario Andretti for the Minardi. 14th will be Arrows with Roberto Moreno. 15th, Kazuyoshi Hoshino. 16th, René Arnoux. 17th, the very unlucky Alain Prost. But only for this race, not the entire season. Jerry Boutsen, 18th with for Zach Speed. 19th will be Michael Andretti for Tyrrell. Danny Sullivan in 20th for McLaren. Nelson Piquet in the Benetton with a puncture. Mika Hakkinen 22nd for Ligier. So a lot has happened up and down the grid. In the end, Ferrari comes out on top for the Constructors World Championship, and obviously we do know Alain Prost has picked up the Drivers' Championship. It's a very close fight here this season between McLaren and Ferrari, and actually all the way up and down the grid there has been battles between the constructors, but yeah, Ferrari come out on top, and this will close out the season. It has been great hosting this, and obviously we will be hosting a meeting fairly shortly after this race has gone live, where we can talk about the changes for next season and obviously head into that season, preparing everything. And yeah, it has been great. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you guys had the same. And we will see you for next season. 1989 will be coming up.